Hey there folks, this is Paul talking about A Course in Miracles stuff. I thought I'd do a video today about Christ vision, true perception, the body's eyes, and how seeing works. There's a ton of stuff in the Course about seeing. It's about, perceiving and having vision and looking and how you see and how sight works and how you are aware of the world and how you see past things, and it's quite visual. There's 387 references to eyes, 321 vision, 256 about sight, 1757 about seeing, almost 300 about looking, 500 about perception, 428 about perceiving. So there's a lot of stuff in the Course about perception and seeing and sight and vision and how you see. So let's talk about how this all works. Now, some people don't agree with how I'm going to present this, because some people believe that the world is real and they have trouble accepting that the Course is talking about things in a certain way or referring to certain things, but I'm just going to present it how I understand it and how I see it. So basically, as an overview, your mind does not need the body in order to see. Only the mind sees. Without a body, you can still have perceptions. The mind can directly, without interpretation, be exposed to and aware of what is there. It can go anywhere, it can see anything, it does not need a body in order to see. But what we did is we had denial, and we didn't want to see. We didn't want to be in the light, we didn't want to be aware, didn't want to have vision, so we decided to block it. And the way that we blocked it was we attempted to put a wall in between ourselves and that which we might look upon, reality, and made it seem very solid and physical. We invented a second way of seeing, which is the body's vision. We made eyeballs. We constructed the eyeballs so that they would only be able to look at the physical wall and not see past it, not see anything else other than what's physical. And by being deceived by and blocked by the sight of these physical things, it would cause you not to be aware of what is beyond the physical things, what the body cannot see. And the body, because of the way it functions, the way the eyes function, and the brain, how it interprets the images, is not capable of looking at reality. It can only see other stuff that is similar to what the body's made of. So it's actually not really seeing anything. It's failing to see. It's only looking at illusions. And there's all kinds of lovely juicy paragraphs that I have here that support this. And so when you are only seeing the physical, you are blinded by perception of form, and you're seeing the world as if it's real. But there's something else beyond the physical blockage that you want to become able to see, because it is the light, it is the truth, it is the real world, it is heaven or whatever. And it's beyond the body. It's literally that you somehow need to find a way to perceive that doesn't use the body's eyes, doesn't rely on the body, and that can look for itself without using this instrument to see what is out there and not see what the body sees. So that doesn't mean my mind is going to look at physical forms. It means that I'm going to not look at physical forms. I'm going to look elsewhere. I'm going to look beyond the physical world to what is behind it, that the physical was blocking. And the spiritual eye, the spiritual sight, the mind vision only looks at the light of reality. It does not look at the physical world. It overlooks it and sees beyond it. It doesn't pay any attention to it. Only the body's eyes look at the physical world. So these are two very different ways of perceiving. They're two totally different mechanisms of sight, and we have to learn how to sort of activate, switch on, and start using a different way of perceiving, not just a different way of using the body, an entirely different method of looking and being able to see, that does not use the body. And that is Christ vision. It is Christ being able to look at himself, the face of Christ, looking at Christ, seeing itself without having anything come in between, getting in the way, blocking. And the thing that comes between is what the Course calls the veil: physical matter, solid matter, the world you made, the granite block of sin, people's bodies, all that attempt to get in the way of your direct oneness experience with your Christ self. There is a lot of stuff here on this subject, so I gathered up a whole bunch of paragraphs and I highlighted some things so that I can try to get through this, because there's a lot of material that supports this and talks about this. So let's start. I'm going to start going through these lovely juicy statements, and we'll talk about them a little bit. The world, the physical world, stands like a block before Christ's face. Christ's face, therefore, is technically on the other side of the physical block of the world, physical matter. True perception looks on this physical block as nothing more than just a fragile veil, so easily dispelled that it can last no longer than an instant. So this Christ vision regards the physical solid world of bodies as if it's just a thin veil, and it's easily seen past, and you can look past it and practically not see it at all, so that you can look straight at Christ. Christ's face. The world stands like a block before Christ's face. Sin. Sin is a block, like a heavy gate, locked without a key, across the road to peace. It's coming between you and peace. No one who looks on it. You actually are looking at sin. Sin is a block. It's become physical. Physical matter is sin. The world of bodies is the world of sin. Physical forms are the idea of sin. Only if there was a body is sin possible. No one who looks upon it without the help of reason, and reason is part of Christ's vision, would try to pass it. The body's eyes, the eyeballs, behold it as solid granite, so thick that it would be madness to attempt to pass it, but reason sees through it easily because it is an error. So now the form that it takes cannot conceal its emptiness from reason's eyes. So this one paragraph is basically saying that physical matter is coming between you and reality, it's blocking your vision, it's made of sin. The body's eyes cannot see past it. They behold it as if it's a solid block of granite, solid objects, thick objects. But Christ's vision's reason can see through it because physical matter is an error. The forms of error is physical objects. All forms are errors, they are illusions. All physical objects are illusions. The world is an illusion. But the forms of the world cannot conceal the face of Christ if you look with reason. Only the form of error attracts the ego. Everything that the body's eyes see is a mistake, an error in perception, which means everything that you can visually see with these eyes as physical. I'm looking at a camera, I can see this surface, I can see a window, there's a wall. All of these things are a mistake. They are the forms of error. They are a mistake that we've made. They are the form that our error of believing in separation, which is impossible, has taken. These are the physicalized forms of the separation idea. And so everything that the body's eyes see is a mistake. The body has permanent false perception. This mechanism, the way that this functions, what it can do, can only look at physical surfaces as if they're real. If you understand how the eyes work, basically, in physics and biology, photons of light shine from a light and they bounce off surfaces. They don't go through the surface because the idea of physical matter is the wall of sin that blocks the light. So symbolically, the photons are blocked by the physical object. They're either absorbed and disappear completely, or they bounce off, but they don't go through. Unless it's transparent, of course, symbolic of the veil. So then the photon bounces off and goes into this object here, which is a sensor. All it does is detects signals coming from the outside world and turns them into messages, biological, chemical messages that goes into the brain. And at this point there is no seeing, there is no actual seeing. All that's happening is there's sensing, detecting, data is being gathered, turning it into images. The brain converts it into a picture, and the brain is then thought to see, as if the brain is able to actually look at these images, and all that it can therefore see is what has been fed to it by the photons through the eyes, bouncing off physical surfaces. And so all it can see are images of physical forms that seem very solid and very real and very thick and tangible that you can touch. And so now the body perceives only what appears to be solid physical material things. It cannot see anything else. This mechanism, the body's eyes are made of illusions. They look upon illusions, they use illusions to see. Illusory things come into them, and it uses an illusion to look at an illusion. at no point is it possible for this illusory thing to see reality. It's entirely designed never, ever, ever to be able to have actual sight. And this form of vision is not really seeing. It's not seeing because, if you think about it, your eyes seem to look upon something physical, and because your vision stops at the surface to register that the surface is there, fixating on the surface, being distracted by the surface, you can't see through the physical object. So you're not really having unlimited vision. You can't see everything, literally. You can't see what's behind the wall because the wall blocks your sight. And it's only because it blocks your sight that you register that something is there and therefore think I'm seeing something. But the only reason that you're seeing it is because your vision has been blocked. So it's not really a complete form of seeing. It's actually not seeing. It's the inability to see everything. It was made as a desire not to see. So it allows physical matter to stop your sight so that you will not see what's on the other side. It was intentionally made this way. And so this body vision is not really vision. You're not really seeing, but it seems as though you are, because you have these images of solid surfaces that block your sight, and you think, oh, I'm seeing, I can see the room, I can see the walls, I can see the lights and the windows and stuff. But what about what you're not seeing? Can you see the other side of the world? Can you see what's in the next galaxy? Not with the body's eyes. They are not designed to be capable of seeing such things because they are so limited, and they never can be reconstructed in a physical way to make them capable of seeing such things. You can't modify or produce any kind of eyeball that has the power of a unlimited infinite telescope that can see the other side of the universe. It's just not possible. And so you can't, this is the fact that you cannot use the body's eyes to see everything. You cannot use the body's eyes to see the real world. You cannot use it to see reality. You cannot use them to see Christ. They are literally in a closed box, and they only can see the inside of the box. They are blinded by perception of form, and so you can't use them in order to see what is real. In order to see reality, which physical forms stop you from seeing, you need a different way of perceiving. You need another kind of vision, an entirely separate form of seeing that doesn't in any way use the body's eyesight, that doesn't even need a body to see. And that kind of seeing is Christ vision. It's the spiritual eye, and you need to activate it and get into it and use it to have a kind of mind vision that doesn't need anything physical in order to see. And because it doesn't use the physical, and because the physical cannot see everything, that Christ vision does not look at the physical stuff. This is an important point, that only the body sees the body world. Only the eyeballs pick up the images of physical matter and surfaces that you can't see past. this other kind of seeing, this other mechanism of seeing, the spiritual eye, doesn't operate in this way. It's not based on photons, so it doesn't get blocked by physical surfaces. It sees through them. So it almost is to the point that it can't even see the physical world. And it's because of that when it looks upon the real world, it does not see buildings and bodies and streets and stores where you can buy endless things that you don't need, and there is no sun, because it isn't seeing them. Christ's vision overlooks the physical world. To the face of Christ, the veil of physical matter becomes so thin and transparent in your vision, you even stop at some point. You stop using the body's eyes entirely and only use the spiritual sight, and you forget the world is even there, and you only look at the real world, and then you're ready to go home to heaven. Lots and lots of quotes here that support this, so let's keep going. If you realized how little stands between you and your awareness of union, the world is standing between you and your awareness of union. Be not deceived by the illusions that it presents of size, thickness, weight, solidity, firmness of foundation. To the body's eyes, it looks like an enormous solid body, immovable as a mountain. These are very descriptive terms I think everybody can relate to as ways of describing physical objects, physical matter. They have size, they have thickness, they have weight, they have solidity, they have firmness. The body's eyes, to the body's eyes, it looks like a solid body, immovable as a mountain. It seems tangible and physical. The body's eyes look upon this stuff and it registers, hey, I'm looking at things that have size and thickness and weight and firmness, and they seem solid. And that stands in the way between you and your awareness of union. So somehow you have to learn how to disregard these illusions of weight and size and solidity, see through them, not be deceived by them, not be tempted to believe that that's true or that it's seeing. Realize that those things are blocks because they are forms of error, not to believe the errors, not to make the errors, not to be deceived by them, and see sense past the physical world. The body's eyes see only form. They cannot see beyond what they were made to see, and they were made to look on error and not see past it. Forms of error, the physical world is error. It's an error, the mistake. It's the mistaken belief that there is a world other than the kingdom of God, that you can see something that doesn't exist. The body's eyes see only form, and they cannot see beyond what they were made to see. Theirs is a strange perception. They can see only illusions, unable to look beyond the granite block of sin, stopping at the outside surface of nothing. And to this distorted form of vision, the outside of everything is a wall that stands between you and the truth. This is very, very clear. The body's eyes can only see forms, physicality, differences, inequality, all of the illusions that make up the ego thought system, the entire physical world and universe beyond it. All the planets, galaxies, and stars can be seen with the body's eyes, and the body only sees illusions. Therefore, totally impeccable logic, everything that I can see with my body is an illusion. No exceptions. If I can see it with these eyeballs, it is an illusion. It's a form of error. The body can only see forms of error, can only look at illusions. This is a key point. You can't use the body to see reality. The world's only purpose is to prove that guilt is real. The physical world was an attempt to prove that sin is real. And so now the body looks at, this is literal, your body's eyes are looking at sin. Every single thing that you see, which is an illusion, is a different form of sin happening. All illusions are the idea of sin and separation. They're made of guilt. The whole point of making the physical world was to try to prove that guilt is real. That's the whole purpose of the ego. It tried to say, look at this so that when you see it with your body, it will seem to be real and solid and exist, and therefore prove that sin has happened. And you'll notice that all the happenings in the world, all the events, everything that occurs, anything you can do physically, is a sin. Is the idea that something happened, something's happening, something's occurring, there has been a separation, there has been an attack. Every single physical thing testifies that sin is real, and the eyes believe it because they see it and they take it to be its reality, not seeing past it. The granite block of sin that is the physical world. Once all guilt is gone, what remains to keep a separated world in place? For place, space, has gone as well along with time. Only the body makes the world seem real. Only the body makes the world, the physical world, seem real. Only the body's eyes that believe forms of matter makes the world seem real because of the way the eyes function, with the photons bouncing off the objects, coming into your eyes, turning into pictures, you looking at these pictures and saying, oh, look at me, I'm seeing a world, it must be real. That's the whole mechanism and point of the body, was to try to have a thing. Jesus says the body is to perceive with, because you needed something to perceive with, so you had to make the body and invent the eyes as an alternative form of seeing, i.e. not seeing, so that you could look at the world that you'd made as a block to the awareness of God, so that you would look at it and be deceived by it and not see past it, so that you'd believe that the world is real. So you'd have the body to look as an instrument to be able to look upon the world that was made as an attack on God, to make hell seem to exist. Because earth is hell. It's the total opposite of heaven. Heaven's opposite in every way. The physical planet is hell. And because the physical eyes believe it, if you only use the physical body's eyes, you are stuck in false perception forever. The physical eyes are a state of false perception. They don't have any true perception. They are 0% true perception, 0% spiritual eye. The physical body, the physical sight, is 100% denial of awareness of God, total unwillingness to see. It is not seeing, it's blindness. And that's why you have to activate and wake up the spiritual eye so that you can once again see and not use the body. Forgiveness proves that separation is impossible because it sees it not. Because the physical world is the idea of separation, coming between you as a wall, between you and yourself, between you and reality. It's the gap. The world is the gap. And then what you will overlook, not see, or see past, that you used to believe in as real, the physical world seen with the body that makes the world seem real, will not be understandable to you, just as its presence had once been your certainty. So you start out from this position of I only see the world, and therefore you think it's certain and it's real. The body makes it seem real. You don't think there's any other way to see, but once you develop or tune into that other way of seeing, which tunes out of the body's eyes, so that you stop using the body's eyes, stop believing what you see, you overlook it, and now what you thought used to think it was real and solid, you now recognize that it is not that. It was an illusion. It was deceiving you. You no longer believe it. You're no longer deceived by it or tempted. The real world, the body will never look on it. Never. And that means never, ever, ever, ever. Some people believe that the physical world is real, and that everything in the Course in Miracles talking about perception is talking about you having this mental interpretation. You look through the body, either you look with the ego through the body, or you look with the Holy Spirit through the body. This is bullshit. The body's eyes, the physical eyes, can never, ever, ever see reality. You can't use them. You can't use them with the Holy Spirit to look at. The physicalness, cannot register or sense. To sense is not to know. You cannot know reality using senses. They are indirect, they are interpretative, they are delusional. They are forms of hallucination. The body's eyes are not capable of being repurposed or used in a different way. These eyes made not to see will never see. The mechanism, it's like a machine that you've designed to fulfill a function. They're stuck in this configuration. They're only made to do one thing, and they will never be able to do anything else. Your body's eyes do not wash the dishes. Your body's eyes do not drive a car. They only can do their function that they've been given, and you can't make them do anything else, no matter how spiritual you are, no matter how awake you are. You cannot use the body's eyes to look at reality. You have to use spiritual sight that does not depend on the body's eyes. The body's eyes will never look at reality. The body will remain guilt's messenger. The reality of guilt is the illusion which makes it seem heavy and opaque, impenetrable. Guilt's illusion is the physical world. Guilt makes the physical world seem solid and tangible. If there's guilt in the mind, because you don't have Christ's vision, you will believe the world even more, because it will appear to you to have a solidity and a thickness and an impenetrability, because Christ's vision penetrates matter and sees through it and beyond it, like X-ray vision. Its thinness and transparency are not apparent until you see the light behind it, and then you see it as a fragile veil before the light. Solid matter, the illusion of the world of guilt, the world of sin, its thinness and transparency are not apparent until you see the light behind it. And then you see the physical world, the illusion of sin, as a fragile veil before the light. So now there's the light over there, here's the veil in front of it, and it's transparent because you're now seeing through it to the light, and you're so fixed on looking at the light, so intensely looking at the light, that the physical world of matter, the form of error, no longer blocks your vision, and you're seeing with the physical eye, the spiritual eye, through what the physical eye is trying to show you to block your sight, and now you see the light beyond it. The world you see with your body's eyes must be denied, for sight of it is costing you a different kind of vision. You cannot see both worlds. The world you see with the body's eyes has to be denied, not believed in, recognized as false, understood to be unreal, not deceiving you, seen past the form of error, not believing the error, so that you can see with Christ's vision. You cannot see both worlds. You cannot see both the physical world, the veil, which only seems physical if your mind is so in the dark that it doesn't have Christ's vision because it believes in guilt and it's hiding in the body and sees only the physical. Either you're going to see the physical or you're going to shift to seeing the real world. You cannot see both of them. As you transition to seeing the light beyond the veil, the world becomes thin and transparent and you stop seeing it. There is a shift of which world you look at based on which mechanism of seeing you use. If you use the body's eyes only, you will only see physical matter. If you use the spiritual eye only, you will only see Christ. When you're transitioning between the two, it's going to seem as if you're doing both of them at once. You're still sort of seeing the veil, the world is still partly seen, it still seems to kind of be there as a thin veil, but you're seeing a light beyond it. And eventually that becomes 100% shifted to only seeing the other world, the light, the real world. You cannot see both fully. You can't fully see physical matter and fully see reality at the same time, because the physical world is not reality, it's illusion. It all adds up, it all connects. Each of them involves a different kind of seeing and depends on what you cherish. The sight of one is possible because you have denied the other. You only can see the physical if you deny awareness. You only can see the physical if you block vision. You only can see the physical if you deny the spiritual eye. You can only see Christ if you deny the physical world. You can only see Christ if you stop being blocked by the world. You do not really want the world that you see because it's disappointed you since time began. The homes that you built have never sheltered you, the roads you made have led you nowhere, and no city that you built has withstood the crumbling assault of time. Nothing that you made but has the mark of death on it. Hold it not dear, for it is old and tired and ready to turn to dust even as you made it. As soon as you even made it, it already had it was a form of death. All illusions are based on death. Death is the central dream on which all illusions are based. Every illusion, all forms of error, everything physical that you can see with the body's eyes is made of death. It is the world of death. It's the picture of crucifixion. Without the idea of death, there is no world. So you don't want this stupid world that has death built into it. You want the kingdom of God. Hold it not dear. It is old and tired and ready to turn to dust. The world you see with the body's eyes is an illusion of the world. God did not create it. For what he creates must be eternal as himself. There is nothing in the world that you see with the body's eyes that will endure forever. And this is a challenge that I give to anyone, anywhere in the world. Find one single thing in this universe that has eternal life and show it to me. You won't be able to, because everything in this entire universe of space and time has an end and a beginning, and none of it has eternal life. That's why it's an illusion, because it is not eternal. It doesn't have reality because it's not always the same. It comes to an end. All things visible will have an end. Everything that is visible to your physical body's eyeballs will have an end. This entire building that I'm sitting in will crumble into dust and have an end. The sun is going to go supernova and destroy the planet some billions of years from now, and the planet's going to end. Sorry to give you the bad news, but nothing in the world you see is real, because it's all illusion. God did not create it, because what he creates must be eternal as himself. He can only create the eternal if it is not eternal, which means lasts forever without end. If it's not that, it is an illusion. Every physical object is an illusion. It is the veil of illusions, the block of sin, covering up reality, which is eternal. At the beginning of the course workbook, there is a statement that Jesus says about what the purpose of the entire workbook is. And it's entirely to do with developing Christ vision. The purpose of these exercises, this is in the intro, the purpose of these exercises is to train the mind to a different perception of everything in the world. It's divided into two sections. The first is dealing with undoing what you see now, which would mean everything that I see with my physical eyes must be undone. The second is with the restoration of sight, the developing of Christ vision, the ability to actually see without being blocked by physical forms. Unity alone is not a thing of dreams, and it is this that God's teachers acknowledge as behind the dream, beyond all seeming, and surely theirs. All seeming is all illusions, all the forms of error. All physical objects seem to be there because the body makes them real. God's teachers acknowledge unity is not a thing of dreams. Dreams are illusions. It is not a thing of dreams. Unity is beyond all of the seeming physical world, and surely theirs. Christ's vision has one law. It does not look upon a body. Before I even get to the rest of the sentence, it does not look upon a body. It doesn't see the world of bodies. It looks past them, beyond them, with a kind of X-ray vision that fixates on Christ, on the light beyond, and doesn't even see the physical world. Christ's vision has one law. It does not look upon a body, and it does not mistake it for the Son that God created. It beholds a light beyond the body, entirely beyond it, beyond the physical, an idea beyond what can be touched, an idea beyond anything physical that you can touch, undimmed by errors, forms of error, pitiful mistakes, and fearful thoughts of guilt from dreams of sin. This world, the physical world, is a dream of sin. It sees no separation. It looks on everyone and every circumstance and all happenings and events without the slightest fading of the light it sees. So this suggests that it does somehow register the world as if, because you're seeing the veil, but it doesn't, there's no dimming of the light that it sees beyond the veil. And let's be clear that the physical world is the veil. The physical world is not the light beyond the veil. The veil is not reality. It's an entire layer of illusions covering up reality. And the light that you see is not the physical world. It is the real world. Because if you remember, he talks about take a while and sit and take a look at the world you see and recognize that the real world is not like this. There are no bodies, there's no walls, there's no buildings, there's no streets, there's no street lights, no stores where people buy an endless list of things that they don't need. There is no night and day, there is no sun in reality. So the light of the real world is not the physical, it's beyond it. So here's kind of what happens with simultaneous body vision and Christ vision just prior to getting to the very end where you only have Christ vision. Illusions of photons bounce around in the world, of illusions bounce off of illusions, go into the illusory eyes, turn into illusory signals to the illusory brain. The brain seems to create images of something, and it's got nothing to do with what's out there. The brain is not really seeing what is past the eyeballs. It's seeing what the eyeballs sensed about what's out there, and all the seeing is happening back here in your brain. So the actual awareness of the image of the physical world is happening back in your brain in the dark, inside the body, and I'm not actually seeing what's out there. I'm seeing a second-hand photocopy image, photons that are even delayed from where they were originated, that time has passed since they traveled. I'm seeing the past. Images of the past are coming into my mind, turning into pictures, and then back here somewhere is the actual seeing that the mind does. The mind looks at the brain, sees the images that the brain is presenting, and then the mind decides what to do with these images. When the mind has a belief system of ego and is convinced that the ego is real, that the world is real and forms of error are true, that they're not errors, it's convinced by and agrees with the images. And so as the images are presented, the mind is looking and it's saying, oh yes, I really believe that's true, that's real, I can see that's happening. And that is false perception at the mind level. The body has false perception, physical false perception forever. But the mind, if it agrees with the body's visions, the image messages being sent to the mind of the external world, the mind also aligns with the body. This is body identification that causes you to only allow the body to be your reality. And now it is also now having false perception because it only is letting the body's images be true. The mind needs correction. The mind gets corrected and opens up to a bigger form of vision that is real sight, that doesn't use the body's eyes or the images that it's sending to your brain, and now overlooks those images. And it's kind of like saying, instead of asking the body to go tell me what's out there with the dogs that you send out, the dogs of hell or whatever, to tell me what's out there, I don't use the body to tell me what's out there. I sort of put the body aside, and then you say, I'm going to do this for myself. If you can't do it right, you might as well do it yourself. So then the mind goes and directly perceives, and because it directly perceives and doesn't use the body mechanisms, it doesn't see the things that the body sees. It doesn't use these images. It looks past them, through them, like X-ray vision, to the light that is beyond all physical matter that is represented in these mind pictures. And so because it's doing this in the transition to true perception, it's developing this way of seeing more than the world, a more inclusive vision. It doesn't get narrowed and excluded and confined to form. It starts to see the light beyond the world while the body's images are still coming into the mind. And so you're seeing this image, just say it's an image of a hand, and it's also the Christ vision is going past the hand and saying, I'm going to look, oh look, I can see a light over there. And because you're seeing it through the image in the mind, the picture the eyes have seen, it's sort of infused into the image as if the image is the veil. You're looking through the veil and seeing a light, so now the image starts becoming transparent in your brain. The image is now seen through, and you start to see the light of God. God is in everything I see because God is in my mind. I am starting to see God in spite of the physical world, because I'm starting to open up to awareness that God is actually there beyond the physical. And so Christ vision, while you still have a bit of body vision, just before you go to heaven, just before you forget the world completely and the veil, the physical images completely disappear from your awareness, and you have only Christ vision and only seeing the other world, the real world, and not seeing this world because you've denied it fully. Just before that, you will still have these slight images of the veil where you're seeing pictures of the physical world, events, happenings, circumstances, but the light that you see is not fading because you're seeing it so strongly. And so, but then the light becomes so bright that the whole world disappears from your vision and you only see Christ, and then you go home. So there's sort of a transition stage where you're actually using two types of perception. You're using body eyes, and it's showing you the physical world, which doesn't change necessarily in any way whatsoever. The TV still looks like a TV, your donuts are still round, your body still has the shape that it has. Sorry, you don't get to have weight loss because you're seeing differently. And then, but at the same time, you're developing an additional perception, an additional mechanism for seeing, and it's starting to pick up on reality. It's starting to sense the light, and now you're seeing the light and the physical, and then gradually they shift away. The body's vision gradually diminishes and the Christ vision increases, and then you only see with the Christ vision. The face of Christ shows up, the world is forgotten, and you go home to God. Corrective learning always begins with awakening the spiritual eye, which means as soon as there is to be true correction, somehow you, in your belief in the physical as the only reality, have to start awakening some kind of detachment, some kind of seeing through, some kind of not believing, some kind of forgiveness of the physical, so that you can start to open up the spiritual eye, turning away from belief in physical sight. So the body's eyes, we literally are talking here about the physical body, the physical eyes, the eyeballs, the way that they see, the machines of sensing photons is producing pictures of hell that you can decide what to do with. You can either believe them and put guilt onto them and therefore believe that it's a horrible, horrible picture of hell, or you can forgive them, overlook them, take away from them the guilt, so that they just become this sort of thin, meaningless, not really sin, not really happening, not taken seriously, light veil that you withdraw belief from. We said before that the spiritual eye cannot see error and is capable only of looking beyond it to the defensive atonement. What the physical eye sees is not corrective, nor can it be corrected by any device which can be physically seen. As long as man believes in what his physical sight tells him, all of his corrective behaviors will be misdirected. Let's read that again. Physical sight. As long as man believes in what his physical sight tells him, all his corrective behaviors will be misdirected. Eventually everyone begins to recognize, however dimly, that there must be a better way. As this recognition is more firmly established, it becomes a perceptual turning point. This reawakens the spiritual eye, simultaneously weakening the investment in physical sight. False perception, I'm only seeing with physical sight. I can only see bodies, I can only see the world, the physical world, the illusion. I start waking up my spiritual eye, I start to see something else. I start seeing the real world, I start seeing light, and therefore I start to not believe the physical as much, because the light is telling me there's truth, and it's the light of the right perspective. It puts everything seen in the correct light, puts it in perspective, and so it now frames the physical and properly identifies it and recognizes it as, this is false, this isn't real, I've been believing something that's not really there, it doesn't exist. The investment in physical sight is withdrawn. The spiritual eye cannot see error, cannot see the world of error, the forms of error. All the solutions that the physical eyes seek dissolve in its sight. The real beauty of the temple cannot be seen with the physical eye. The spiritual eye cannot see the buildings. Spiritual eye has perfect vision. Spiritual eye is the openness and the willingness to be able to see reality. Physical eyes are the desire not to see reality and to only be deceived and blocked. Unconsciousness. These eyes made not to see will never see. Vision adapts to wish. Sight is secondary to desire. If you see the body, you have chosen judgment and not vision. It doesn't say if you see the body in a certain way. It doesn't say if you see the body with true perception. It doesn't say if you forgive the body. It doesn't say if you mistake your brother for a body. If you see the body at all, if you see it, you have chosen judgment. And there's a line that says, to see a sinless body is impossible. You can't see a sinless body because in order to see bodies, you have to use body vision. And that means that you are not in Christ vision. And that means you are in judgment. And therefore you believe in sin. And that's why you're seeing bodies. Bodies are made of sin because they are made of the veil, the forms of error, the granite block of sin. So if you see a body, you are looking at sin. There is no such thing as a sinless, innocent body. Jesus says the body is neither sinful, but nor is it sinless. It is not sinless. If you can see a body, you still believe in sin a little bit. So that's part of what needs to be forgiven, so that you overlook it and erase that awareness and don't see it anymore. Remember, the body, only the body makes the world seem real. By focusing on the good in your brother, the light that is his real self, the body grows decreasingly persistent in your sight and will at length be seen as little more than a shadow circling around the good. The body becomes decreasingly persistent in your sight. You stop seeing bodies. They become transparent. The veil lifts. The body, the world of bodies is the world of sin. If you don't want to see them, don't believe in sin, and then you will not judge and failing to forgive, and then you will overlook them and not see them. To forgive is to overlook. Overlooking means I didn't see it. I must have overlooked that. I didn't see it. The concept of a self, which is the body, stands like a shield, a silent barricade before the truth, and hides it from your sight. All things that you see with the body are images, because you look on them as though they are a barrier which dims your sight and warps your vision, so that you behold nothing with clarity. At most you glimpse a shadow of what lies beyond, but at least you merely look on darkness and perceive the terrified imaginings. The sight, the vision, and the inner guide all lead you out of hell. The physical world is hell, and we don't mean old definitions of hell like fire and brimstone and devils and shit, but this is hell. The hell you made, the world you made, is the hell you made. If you don't want to be in hell and you want to be in heaven, you need to develop this Christ vision so that you don't need a body, so that the body doesn't make hell real, and so that you can be free of bodies forever. Nothing stands between his sight and what he looks upon. The world doesn't get in the way of what you look upon, which is yourself. In this single vision does he see the face of Christ. So once the veil is lifted, physical matter is no longer seen, you're not looking at sinful bodies, you now see the face of Christ only. There's a light where the darkness was before, and now the veil is lifted from his sight. The veil across the face of Christ, the fear of God and of salvation, and the love of guilt and death, they're all different names for just one error, that there is a space between you and your brother, kept apart by an illusion of yourself, physical body, which holds him off from you, his physical body too, and away from him. While you hold this sword, you must perceive the body as yourself. So bodies come between you and your brother. Your brother's reality is beyond his body. Your brother is the soul that God created, a shining bright light in heaven. You can't see it. You can't see his Christ self, the face of Christ, using the body. So you need to see past the world of bodies to the light and see this bright light shining. Gone are bodies in the blazing light of the Son of God. When you use the body only as the Holy Spirit teaches, it has no function. For minds need not the body to communicate. The sight that sees the body, physical sight, has no use, which serves the purpose of a holy relationship. Therefore, holy relationship is between Christ mind and Christ mind. It is not between bodies. You can't say like, oh, I'm seeing your body, isn't it a lovely body? It's a holy body, I love your body. That is not a holy relationship, and the body is not a part of the holy relationship, because the holiness is the relationship not stopping at the physical surface. It's joining beyond matter. If you send forth only the messengers that the Holy Spirit gave you, which is the desire to see love, the desire to see light and reality and truth, wanting no messengers but theirs. I don't want the body messengers that I sent out that were telling me that hell is real. You will see fear no more. The world will be transformed before your sight, cleansed of guilt and brushed with beauty. The world contains no fear that you laid not upon it, and none that you cannot ask love's messengers to remove from it. So there's a kind of a weirdness to this, but it's like the correct way to see is to not see the world, is to focus on the light, have vigilance for the kingdom, to only look at the light. You have to look at the light and not be distracted by the body in order for the body to appear to be forgiven, in order for the body to not seem to be real guilt or sin, and to see the world, the physical world, with the body's eyes slightly, as if it's beautiful, because you're allowing your spiritual sight to look past it. It's only because you look past it, not at it, that the physical world starts to look like heaven. Reflects heaven, because you don't see it. As you withdraw your investment in the physical sight, the world that the physical sight sees becomes thin and light and lovely, and then it disappears, because a world forgiven cannot last. My holy vision sees all things as pure. Be willing to see your brother as sinless, so that Christ may rise before your vision and give you joy. Your brother's sinlessness is given you in a shining light to look upon with the Holy Spirit's vision, which you won't be able to see if you think your brother is a body. If your sight stops at his body, and you believe the body's rendition of your brother as a physical surface that it can't see through, you're not seeing your brother. What can the body's eyes perceive with the power to correct? Its eyes adjust to sin, unable to overlook it in any form. Your eyes adjust to sin and can't see anything else. The world of bodies is the world of sin. The physical world, physical matter, is the idea of sin. The body is the idea of sin made flesh and projected outwards. Every physical object is the idea of sin. You need to overlook it. To forgive it is to not see it. To look beyond the physical world to the kingdom of God, to the real world, so that you forget this dream world, this idea of sin. If you look through its eyes, the body's eyes, everything will stand condemned before you. If you look through the body's eyes, if you use these eyes, every single thing that you see has been condemned. And what that means, even if you're in a good mood, even if you like your decor, even if you are visiting a nice tropical paradise, if you see it with the body's eyes, there is condemnation happening, even if you don't recognize it as condemnation, because you're unwilling to see light, you're unwilling to see sinlessness, you're unwilling to see beyond it. So by beholding it, you cannot behold the world and see God. You effectively are limiting vision and therefore are attacking, and now you are therefore condemning what you're looking at. That's why the body is not sinless. If you see it, you're sinning. Barren sands, darkness, lifelessness are seen through the body's eyes. Its vision is distorted, and the messages that it transmits to you, who made it to limit your awareness, are little and limited, so fragmented that they are meaningless. From the world of bodies, made by insanity, insane messages seem to be returned to the mind which made it, and these messages, these pictures of crucifixion, the world is a picture of the crucifixion of God's Son, these pictures of hell, crucifixion, death, dream of death, bear witness to the world, proclaiming it as true. For you sent forth these messengers to bring it back to you. All of this, if seen through the body's eyes, if you use the physical sight, this is what you're going to see. Anger screeches that guilt is real. Reality is blotted out in this insane belief, is taken as replacement for God's word. The body's eyes now seem to see, and its ears can hear. To whom would vision such as this send back its messages? Surely not to you, your spirit, whose sight is wholly independent of the eyes which look upon the world. Your eyes are spiritual eye is independent of the physical body. It does not need or use photons vision to see, and so it does not see the world of light particles. The brain cannot interpret what your Christ vision sees. The brain interprets to the body of which it is a part, but what it says you cannot understand. Your brain interprets your body's eyesight signals, and it's not showing them to you, it's showing them to the body. And your vision does not use this brain and body mechanism to see. It is impossible to understand what fails to reach you entirely. So because the images come into the body and into the eyes, into the brain, and then it stops, and it doesn't go to your spirit, you can't really understand anything that you see in the world with the body. Your vision, Christ vision, would render the body unnecessary. But if your spiritual eyes, your real eyes, are closed, and you've called upon this thing, this body, to lead you, to asking it to explain to you the world that it sees, you have no reason not to listen or to suspect that what it tells you is true. So if you're relying on the body to tell you about the world, you don't have any reason to suspect that it's showing you things that aren't true. You're just saying, okay, I trust you. I believe what you tell me. You have to learn not to do that in order to have spiritual sight that doesn't use the body. Your sight, your true perception, was given you along with everything that you can understand. You will perceive no difficulty in understanding what this vision tells you. Only your vision, spiritual vision, can tell you what you can see. It reaches you directly without the need for interpretation. What needs interpretation must be alien. Your brain tries to interpret the world because the world is alien. Condemnation keeps my vision dark, and through my sightless eyes I cannot see the vision of my glory. If you, in your mind, are condemning and believing in hell and having ego stuff, it blocks your spiritual vision and keeps your vision dark in a box. And then you only see through the sightless eyes and cannot see the light of your glory. Miracles are seen in light. It's important to remember that miracles and vision necessarily go together. You will see it in the light, you will not see it in the dark. So the miracle is the light of the real world. You cannot see it if you're in the dark psychologically. When you're in the dark psychologically, you're going to start using the body and believing what it tells you. Free your vision from the body's eyes. To the extent to which you value guilt, to that extent you will perceive a world in which attack is justified. If you've got guilt in your mind, you're going to focus on a body identification, and you're going to start narrowing down your vision and withdrawing from spiritual sight and only see what the body sees. And then you're going to see attack and think it's real. You see what you believe is there, and you believe it's there because you want to see it. Sin cannot encroach upon your vision because it's been corrected by the Holy Spirit. There are no distinctions, differences have disappeared, and love looks upon itself. So if you're looking with love, you're going to see only love, and you're going to not see the world of bodies. Somewhere up here that I skipped, it said something about the law of perception is that you will see only yourself. Whatever you think you are, you will see. If you think you are love, you will only see love. If you think that you're a body, you're going to start seeing bodies. In the resurrection, the curriculum ends. Vision has been wholly corrected. We have seen the face of Christ, his sinlessness, his love behind all forms, beyond all purposes. The body's eyes are therefore not the means by which the real world can be seen. For the illusions that they look upon must lead to more illusions of reality, and so they do. For everything that they see not only will not last, physical forms will not last, but lends itself to thoughts of sin and guilt. Because if you're starting to see bodies, you're starting to see guilt and sin happening. Everything that God created is forever without sin and without guilt. There's magical beliefs that come from the conviction that you are a body and that the body's eyes can see. You also believe that the body's brain can think. If you understood the nature of thought, you couldn't but laugh at this insane idea. But this is no more foolish than to believe that the body's eyes can see and that the brain can know. It is your weakness that sees through the body's eyes, peering into the darkness beyond the likeness of itself, the small and the weak and the sickly and the dying, and those in need, the helpless and the afraid, the sad, the poor, the starving and the joyless. These are seen through eyes which cannot see and cannot bless. You see this stuff on the news with these eyes because they cannot see and they cannot bless. Strength, spiritual sight, overlooks these things by seeing past appearances. It keeps its steady gaze upon the light that lies beyond them. The body's eyes are closed. You can see reason. This is not a play on words. Here's the beginning of a vision that has meaning. Vision is sense. Making sense, being sane, quite literally. For it is plain, and what is obvious cannot be ambiguous. How could sight stop at nothing as if it was a solid wall? How can a sight which stops at nothingness as if it were a solid wall see truly? It is held back by form, having been made to guarantee that nothing else but form will be perceived. Your body's eyes are made to guarantee that nothing other than form will ever, ever, ever be perceived. These eyes made not to see will never see. What was its maker's goal but not to see? See how the body's eyes rest on externals and cannot go beyond. They stop at the surface. Watch how they stop at nothingness, unable to go beyond the form to meaning. So you can't see the meaning and the sense of reality's truth using the body's perception. Let not the vision of his holiness, the sight of which would show you your forgiveness, be kept from you by what the body's eyes can see. Let your awareness of your brother not be blocked by your perception of his sins and of his body. I gotta kind of wrap up pretty much here, I think. Vision is the means by which the Holy Spirit translates your nightmares into happy dreams, to turn your hallucinations, the brain is hallucinating, that show you all fearful outcomes of imagined sin, the world, into the calm and reassuring sights that he would replace them. They are his substitutes for all the terrifying sights and the screaming sounds that the ego's purpose brought to your horrified awareness. You can behold the holiness that God gave his Son, and never need you think that there is something else for you to see. So if you think that there is something else to see, windows and desks and chairs, that is not seeing God's Holy Son. You have the vision that enables you to see the body not. This is quite literal. I mean, a vision that allows you not to see bodies. That you can overlook the physical world of forms and sin and not see it ever again, and then only be aware of heaven. In his sight there is another world. The contrast is far greater than you think. A world that is forgiven, the physical world, once it is forgiven and seen past and not believed and not seen, cannot last. It was the home of bodies. But forgiveness looks past bodies. This is its holiness, and this is how it heals. You have to look past bodies in order to heal. The extension has to go out to your brother, past your body, not dwelling on your body in order to heal the body. That's how holiness heals, and a forgiven world cannot last. It was the home of bodies, and it must disappear from your sight when you wake up. Except the one illusion which proclaims that there is no condemnation in God's Son, the real world, not the physical, in which there are no buildings and bodies and the sun has vanished. Heaven is remembered instantly. The world is forgotten. Its weird beliefs are forgotten with it, as the face of Christ appears unveiled at last in this one dream. This is the gift that the Holy Spirit holds for you from God your Father. So at the end of this whole awakening process, the veil is lifted, the physical world is lifted from your sight. The body's pictures in your brain are no longer looked at, and your physical sight transcends the body, transcends the world, and the face of Christ appears, and the world is forgotten. You no longer pay attention to the physical. It doesn't exist. There is no world. This can be perceived an instant longer. Then the symbols are done, and everything that you ever thought you made has completely vanished from the mind which God forever knows to be his Holy Son. Read that again. This can be perceived an instant longer. Then the symbols are done. Everything that you ever thought you made, the physical universe made as an attack on God, to make the body see it, to make it real, to prove that sin exists, has completely vanished. Vanished, gone, totally, not seeing it at all. Cannot interact with it because it is not seen. Cannot remain in the body. You cannot remain in the world with this knowledge. Vanished from the mind which God forever knows to be his only Son. Getting into Christ vision, you get into the awareness of Christ, and then you become Christ again, and now the world vanishes. And now God's knowledge, changeless, certain, pure, and wholly understandable, enters its kingdom. Gone is perception, false and true alike. which means both the body's way of seeing is gone, Christ vision is gone. There is no more perceiving of the real world. Gone is forgiveness because its task is done. Gone are bodies in the blazing light upon the altar of the Son of God. They're gone. They're vanished. You can't keep using them. There are no bodies in heaven. So once you get to Christ's vision and you've overlooked the world, you get to a state where bodies are vanishing and you're not able to maintain a body. And the state of heaven that you go into does not include the body in any way. You cannot be in that state and maintain the bullshit lie that the body is still there. You cannot have bodies compatible with reality. You can't be in heaven having a body. You cannot be beyond perception, where gone are bodies in the blazing light of the Son of God, and where all kinds of perception, body perception, the eyeballs have gone, the Christ vision's gone, the real world is gone. This entire universe has vanished from your sight. You cannot see it. You can't interact with it. You cannot move a body around in it and operate one and say, oh, look at me, I'm awake, I'm in heaven, fuck that. You cannot be. You can't have knowledge in a body. God cannot enter a body, nor can he join you there. To be without a body is to be in your natural state. You do not need a body. This whole process is the idea of getting away from the bullshit that you made, the body, the world of bodies and sin, and getting back to spirit through spiritual sight that doesn't depend on the body, doesn't need a body, and then eventually you get to where you literally don't have one. They're not needed anymore. The whole purpose of the body is to teach you that it is ultimately useless, purposeless, doesn't mean anything, isn't needed, doesn't exist. Here the face of Christ has shone away time's final instant, and the last perception of the world without a purpose and without a cause. The face of Christ has shone away the last perception of the world. You can't see it anymore if you go to heaven. Where God's memory has come at last, there is no journey, no belief in sin, no walls, no bodies, and the grim appeal of guilt and death is snuffed out forever. No walls, no physical objects, no sun. The sun will vanish, the stars will vanish. The stars will disappear, the night and the day will be no more. All things that come and go, the tides, the seasons, the lives of men, bodies, all things that change with time, everything that blooms and fades will not return. The stars will disappear in light, and the sun, literally the sun that is shining outdoors right now, the sun, massive nuclear explosions, which opened up the physical world to beauty, will vanish. The sun is going to vanish. Perception will be meaningless when it's been perfected. Christ vision becomes meaningless. Everything that has been used for learning will have no function. This is a very important point, that if the whole purpose, the Holy Spirit's use of the world and the body is to get you to a point where you don't need it anymore, because he's only using it as a teaching device to bring you home. And so once you get to the point where you've learned, you don't need a body anymore and you don't need the world anymore. It has no function, it has no purpose. Everything is purposeful. If you don't have a need and a purpose, a use for the body to get you home anymore, you don't need one. Nothing will ever change, no shifts or shadings, no differences, no variations that made perception possible will occur. So now you can't even see the world because you can't see differences. The perception of the real world will be so short that you will barely have time to thank God for it. For God will take the last step swiftly And when you have reached the real world and you've been made ready for him, the world disappears in light, the sun vanishes, the body has no use. The world as a teaching device doesn't have a purpose anymore. The only purpose of time is for you to get to this point where you don't need time. Time ends. It's a teaching device. All of this stuff that we made has been repurposed by the Holy Spirit as a teaching device to bring you back to heaven, and once the device has served its purpose, you discard the fucking thing. You don't need it anymore. It doesn't have any use. You drop it. It vanishes, just in the same way that sickness vanishes when you don't have a purpose for it. It just goes. It's dropped. It's gone. The world vanishes. You cannot remain in the world with knowledge. So you now become aware that there is only the kingdom of God. You're now in the light that you were seeing when you had Christ vision. You are now identified with Christ. You are now awake. The dream has gone away. The dreaming has stopped. You've woken up from the dream world. And now there is only reality, only eternal life, only creation, communion, perfect peace of God. The end. End of the story. You've been made ready for him, and now he takes the last step. The last step is actually the continuation of creation, which he already did at the beginning. He merely continues. The mind wakes up and it merely carries on as it left, where it left off, as it was before, and nothing's happened. There is no world. There is no dream of separation. There are no bodies. There's no space-time. And the entire content of space-time vanishes. All the stars, every galaxy in the entire universe disappears. Space. There's nothing more to keep place in place. There's no more time. Space and time end. Heaven is all that remains. Heaven remains the one alternative to the strange world you made. Heaven is all that exists. Only the Holy Trinity is real. Father, Sonship, Holy Spirit is all that exists. It's all there is to experience. It is reality. All this other stuff that you were seeing with fake vision, body's eyes, believing it was real, doesn't exist. You overlooked it with Christ vision, and then you woke up. The end. That's where I'm going to stop. So hopefully this was helpful in helping you to see that the course has just a ton of stuff supporting this, talking about this, how the body sees, how you use physical sight, what the physical sight can see, what it cannot see, how it functions, how it gets blocked by the forms of sin, how it can only look upon illusions, and then how you need to develop another way of seeing that is not body dependent and doesn't look at what the body looks at and forgets what the body looks at and eventually fixates and only sees the kingdom of God. The face of Christ shows up, and the veil of the world of bodies disappears, and you go into heaven through heaven's gates, and you're welcomed home. And everybody's happy. The world will spin into the nothingness from which it came. So I'm going to stop yakking and get some lunch. Hope you have a nice day. Hope this was helpful. See you next time, folks. And Christ vision. Opening your eyes, seeing beyond what you're seeing, going home to God. Cheers, mate. Bye-bye.